The duality of human nature. Can humans have a good side and shadow side? A good side and a dark side? You know, let's explain this. Let's talk about this. Let's break this down. And yes, now keep in mind, this is different than having demons. Let's get this totally straight. Having a good side and a dark side, or a good side and the evil side, or a light side and the dark side of you is totally, completely different than you having demons. So let's get that out of the way first. So for people who have demons, this does not apply to you. This is for everybody who has a light side and a dark side, or a light side and a shadow side. And how those two can coexist within a person. And how is it possible? Well, if you look at how, first off, if you look at how God has created everything, everything has duality in this world. Nothing is just purely good and nothing is purely evil. The same things that can be used for good can be the same things that can be used for evil. You know the same hammer that can build can destroy. It's the same thing. The same human that could be used for good can be used for evil or darkness. Or that same human that has that light side can also have that dark side. Now, the light side is more so the lighter side of you, the God-fearing side of you, the side that wants to do right, the righteous side. And the dark side, of the evil side, is the unrighteous side, or the worldly side. Let's put it like that, the worldly side. And I believe you need both. At times, you must utilize your dark side, or at least have the ability to think down that realm. You know? But everybody has a light side and a dark side. You get somebody angry enough or put them in a predicament to where they have to defend themselves, or put them in a predicament where they have to act out of themselves, then you'll see their dark side. You know, see someone get frustrated or mad or angry, you start seeing their dark side. Doesn't mean that they have demons or anything like that. Excuse me. Doesn't mean that they have demons or anything like that. No. But they're angry, they're mad. And this is just a different side of them that you see. But do they operate in this side the whole time? No. Some people do. Some people operate in their evil or their darker or lower nature all the time. Yes. But you can see how it has impacted their life. No friends, no happiness, no peace, no sunshine. You know? These are all the things that associate yourself the longer you stay in that lower nature, that evil side, that dark side of you. The longer you stay in those frequencies, you attract those things. The more you're in your lighter frequency, you attract that peace. You attract that happiness. You attract abundance. But like I said, these are different than saying this person has the devil in them. Just because the way you may react to somebody, you may yell, be angry, and this is not every time, does not mean that you have the devil in you. Anger is just a normal human emotion that we can express. We shouldn't always express it because it's not healthy to always express it, but it is healthy to express it. If you don't know how to channel that anger or transmute that anger a different way, then by all means, I advise people to express it, because the next thing that happens is you have dis-ease. You have dis-ease in the body if you do not release it, which can turn into disease. So, if you have some form of anger or anything like that, I advise you to, find a way to express it or transmute it. I believe so much anger or hate can probably lead to having, a demon in you. But I believe having demons is something much more further, either passed down through, family ties or something people sign up for. You can just tell if somebody has, a demon. But is it possible for humans to coexist, having the light side and the dark side? Of course. Of course. That's how we're all made, of course. But like I said, it's just what side do you find yourself in majority of the time is how your life will go. If you find yourself in the peace and the lighter side, you attract more abundance. You find yourself in the darker side, you find yourself in more lack and more anger. But I believe the reason why God gave us both emotions is to be able to survive. Sometimes you need that anger. Sometimes every situation can't be battled head on with that peace, light, and love. Sometimes it can't. They said even Jesus was angry and he had a righteous rage, when they were doing those things in the church, and he said, don't sell these things in my Father's home. Another story. So even Jesus got mad and flipped tables and got rowdy. And are you to say he had a demon? No. You wouldn't say God had a demon. Jesus had a demon. You would just say Jesus got mad and he flipped some shit over. He got angry. And he tore some shit up, and that'll be the end of the story. So I believe it's important, or it would be very beneficial for us to at least scratch that surface, to at least dive in, to at least experience, to at least see what this quote-unquote darker side of us is, and really become friends with it. I know a lot of people may say, oh, you shouldn't, da-da-da-da, but I say sometimes you should. Sometimes, especially in this earth that we're in, it's almost like a sheep and a sheep herder. Sometimes the sheep herder has to, put his foot down and say, hey, to the sheep to get the sheep in line. And sometimes as humans, sometimes we have to use that negative emotion or that dark side in order for people to, quote unquote, get out of our way, or for people to learn, or to tell, or for people to actually take us seriously in certain things, That's just all it is. It's just another tool that you have or you can utilize to accomplish what you need to accomplish. Like I said, it's the same hammer. The same hammer that can be used to build can destroy. And the same person who may have the ability to do right, the ability to be light and to be darkness. You can be light to the old lady crossing the street and you can help her. And you can have that darker side to where you have to set somebody straight because they weren't paying attention to when you were being nice, polite, and kind, But you can't flip it and say, oh, I don't want to be dark, or I don't want to tap into that side, So you approach every situation with love, which I believe we should, but every situation can't be brought with love, So now you have two options: leave the situation alone, or you approach it with that side that is going to get the job done. Like you got a regular hammer, you could build a beautiful house, but sometimes you need that same hammer to tear down the house so you can build a better house. So sometimes, yes, you need that positivity to help somebody, but sometimes you need that sternness or that quote-unquote foot up the ass in order for people to wake up. I believe that's all it's for. It's to shock you, I remember when I was younger, and my mother used to, she would tell me something, nice and sweet and stuff like that. And I kind of wouldn't listen, or I would listen, but I wouldn't take it as serious or something like that, And then she would yell, she would get angry, she would get mad, And then that's when I would pay attention. And I'd be like, and then I would say, well, why are you so angry? Why are you yelling? Da, 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 da. And she would say this verbatim: because when I was nice, you weren't listening. And I would sit and think about it. I said, oh, you're right. So it's the same thing with this. Sometimes you have to get angry. Sometimes you have to get to break through to people. That's all. That's all it's for. And sometimes you're not even really mad or angry. You're just tapping into that side to get your point across. So don't let anybody make you feel bad, or don't let anybody, make you feel like you have a devil in you or something like that because you get angry, utilize anger or rage, or don't let anybody do that to you. Because I 100% believe you can still be a righteous person who has a dark side. I 100% believe it. You can be a righteous person who has a dark side, but still God-fearing. I 100% believe that. I 100% believe that. And the dark side is not necessarily doing something that could bring somebody else down, or you subjecting yourself to an object, or just subjecting yourself to just something less than human. And when I say that is, excuse me, that was rude of me. But when I say that is like subjecting yourself to just being, let's say for instance, a woman who may be a professional dancer. And I'm not talking about ballet. I'm talking about the other dancer. It would be split, because if she's just doing that because of a situation, then I believe it's not frowned upon. It's just a situation where she had to tap into a dark side or a darker element in order for her to survive, or for her to, move and groove and doing what she has to do for this time period. Morning. I believe it turns into something else where the devil has his hand when you make it your life, when you make it just you and that's all you do, and you don't have an end goal for something. Same with the guy who sells drugs. Same with the guy who's a street pharmacist. It's not inherently off the rip. If he's doing it for him to survive, it's not frowned upon. I mean, it can be for some people, but it's not really frowned upon, because the means of survival weighs greater at that time. When those roles get switched is when they've made enough for them to be able to survive without harming other people, and you don't. Hence pharmaceutical companies, hence the doctor, hence all these people who profit off of your sickness, who profit off of living in that darker realm, being ran by the devil. Because if we really break it down, the professional dancer is selling a fantasy of sex, which is your lower nature. It's not to build you up, it's to strip you of your energy, your essence. That's what it's there to do. She's there to do, is to strip you of it. And you pay more and more and more to fall into this fantasy. And for the street pharmacist, you're paying him so you can relieve yourself of the stress, so you can go into other realms, you can go into other things and escape. Because that's what all that's about, is escaping. So it can be as complex as that. That I believe it's all on a scale of how far you go until you tip over to it being completely evil. Where you could utilize the darkness as a tool that's already in you before it goes evil, and you've given yourself completely to it. But that's still, okay, I was going to say, but that's still not having the devil. But to a certain point, it starts opening that door and leading you down that road. Because after a while, that God voice in you will start shutting up. You won't hear it because you'll be so far. And now the one of the darkness will start getting louder. And the darkness that was being controlled before was still you. It was just you were in a different nature. It was still you. But now the prince of darkness, which is not you, is going to bring you in and drag you down further. That's why I believe you need to be able to have balance and lean more on your lighter side. Because once you lean on your lighter side, you go up towards light, God. You go up towards that way, the positive side. Versus being on the darker side, when you feed more into it and you lose yourself, you go down in darkness. Which so many people have done. So can they coexist in people? Yes, of course, 100%. 100%. I don't see how it can't. So as I say, don't let people make you feel some type of way for any kind of anger that you may, feel or have or anything of that sort. Don't let anybody make you feel some type of way. You need it. It's just how much of it is controlling you. Are you controlling it or is it controlling you? That's the biggest question. If you're controlling it, there's no problem. Because like I said, it's nothing but a tool. It's nothing but a tool. A tool to survive in this world. Sometimes you want to keep up a tree because tree gives oxygen. Tree gives, life. It gives us air to breathe. But sometimes you need to chop down that tree to make firewood. Are you a bad person now? No. But you had to chop down that tree to survive. The situation called for that. So you had to destroy something in order to continue living. Which brings up another topic. Because we have dominion over animals and all of this on the land, is all this on the land for us, or are we just all cohabitors of this land? I need to remember that. I want to talk about that. I believe people who are, say for instance, drug addicts, they're on that teeter-totter line of darkness and being ran with the devil. They're still human, they're still God's child, but at one point they were harmlessly doing the drugs for survival, or they were harmlessly doing them for mental peace or clarity or whatever, recreation, whatever the case may be. But it got to a point where that substance overtook them. That demon overtook them. And now you see them do things like sell their body or steal or rob, You see their environments and you can tell yourself, number one, this is not of light. This is not of God. To the point where you see them looking like zombies and you can definitely tell yourself that this person is more on their dark side than their light side. So much to the point where the devil now has his hand in their say. And it has to be. Because after a while, when you live so much in that darkness, what is to come next? That's why people say they don't believe in God. It's because it's all on a scale. That's why people say they don't believe in God when you tell them, oh, God, and they say, well, what has God done for me? It's because not necessarily it's been things that have been so dark in their life, but it's because they haven't let that light in and truly let that light in and truly release control. See, a lot of people who say they don't believe in God or they don't believe in the existence of positivity and all that, it's because things have happened in their life and they haven't had an understanding of why. And they don't understand that you have to release control and just let things go and let things just move how they're moving. And these people don't have faith and they only trust in themselves. So they cut that cord. They cut that proverbial cord of being light or attaching to the light or even seeking light. And that's when they go off on the dark end or the deep end of there's no such thing as God. And all these things because they don't have any faith. Their faith never came because they never allowed it. Again, a lot of times, like I'm going to say it again, a lot of times people who don't believe it's because they never allowed it. They never gave up complete control. They never just said, I'm just accepting. They never accepted what has happened. These people have a hard time of accepting. And just accepting. If someone died in your family, just accept it. Be positive and continue moving. It's not the easiest thing, but it's something that you have to do. When you stay in that lightness and not try to go into the dark deep end because you may have lost a loved one or whatever the case may be, if you stay in that lightness and just accept and understand and release control, you'll find out that life is not so hard. You'll find out life is not bad. And I say a lot of times people reject God based off of things that have happened in their life or losing a loved one or things not going in their way, them being picked on, bullied, and all those type of things. And sometimes you never know that these things that have happened in your life was used to shape you, used to mold you. And a lot of people quit. You know, these people who talk about, God's not real and this and this and this, who've been through certain hardships in their life, they never know that they were a prophet in the making. That's deep. They never know the trials and tribulations that they were going through, especially if you were a good person or you didn't do anything, and you might have lost your mother young or gone through financial hardships young, whatever the case may be. You might not have had a perfect childhood or whatever. You never know that those things that you were going through in life, God was using that to make you a prophet. And because you couldn't see it or you didn't have that download or because you were trying to find reasons or you were trying to think that, God was picking on you by pulling your loved one away or making you have these type of hardships, that God didn't love you. But a lot of times God loved you so much that he put you through these things because he knew you would be strong enough or you could have the ability for people to look at you and see that you've been through these things and you stay light, you stay positive, and you got through them. And this is how you got through them, and this is how you can help the world. And a lot of people run away from that by trying to have the answers of the why and try to sit in the hurt and the pain. It don't work like that. The more you try to figure out why God did something, the more you try to figure it out, it's the least. The more you try to figure out, I honestly believe that you won't find your answer. The more you try to figure out why, instead of just living in it and going, God will reveal it to you. A lot of times God will reveal something to you if it was meant to be revealed to you. So don't seek the answer. And I'm not going off on a tangent of the lightness and darkness. This is all in why people choose darkness over light and what will happen if they choose that darkness over light when traumatic events happen in their life, especially when they're younger, like losing a loved one. But like I said, God might have been using these people as a prophet. And because they couldn't see that, they didn't have any answers. They thought it was just the universe picking on them, God picking on them, or whatever the case may be. But because they couldn't see the vision of what God had for them, they ultimately turned dark. So because you don't have the answers for something doesn't mean that you go dark. Like I said, that's what a lot of people do. You've heard it before. Oh, God took my mother away when I was young. I hate God. You never know if God took your mother away because she might have been sick on the inside, and you can utilize this now to tell people, hey, make sure your parents get checked regularly with the hospital and the doctors so they don't be sick. Or you could teach people how to heal and grieve properly when they lose a loved one. You never know how God was working through you. But because you didn't sit down and accept it, you went to the dark side with anger, and you let that fester and grow like a fungus, like a disease. And now you're full of hate, you're full of anger, you're full of rage. Now you hate God. When you don't understand that God was doing something to help move you forward. So that's two different scenarios of how good and evil, light and darkness can coexist in somebody. Sometimes it may have sometimes it may be deeper, or one may take more precedence over the other. Like you have a situation where somebody may have more lightness than darkness. You have a situation where somebody has more darkness than lightness. But it is 100% possible for people to have, or people to coexist in those two different realms of life. Having lightness and darkness. They're 100% possible. I believe that's the way God made it. And like I say, if you don't believe me, look at the Bible. It's a lot of people. Excuse me, 1 second. It's a lot of people who don't believe you unless it's in the Bible. That's a whole different story for another day. But yes, it is 100% possible that lightness and darkness can coexist. They're all tools. You know what they say, God made everything, and everything can be used for lightness and darkness. Everything. The same hammer, money. You know how they say money is the root of all evil? If money is the root of all evil, then in the society that we live in, you need money in order to survive. You need money to buy fruit. You need money to buy vegetables. You need money to buy meat. You need money to build a house. You need money to support a charity. You need money to help your mom. You need money to help your daddy. You need money to help your girl. You need money to help your man. You need money to build foundations. You need money to build jobs. So is money bad in that aspect? No. But the same money could put a hit out on somebody. That same money could cause jealousy. That same money can cause hate. That same money, or lack of money, can cause somebody to start robbing, stealing, killing, selling things, selling drugs, selling their body, selling lies, selling hope. To me, that's worse than all of them. Selling hope. That's a different story for a different day. Hope sellers. I think it's a different type of hell for people who sell hope than all the other ones. But I digress. It's all in us. It's how we choose to practice free will. And if we're willing to sit down and be able to overcome things that come our way the best way possible. With logic. With logic, of course. Let's not try to take life so seriously to the point where we overshoot what God intended for us. We overshoot what the universe has for us is to enjoy this human experience. That's number one, to enjoy this human experience. And the lightness and darkness is just tools that he gave us in order to utilize this human experience. You know, and for anybody who says that we can't coexist with lightness and darkness, if you don't believe Jesus, the Jesus example wasn't good enough, look at God himself. God even has that light side and dark side. Even God. God is happy with you. Don't you see how he, praises you? I mean, not praises you, but you see how he gifts you? He rewards you. Don't you see that? And when he's mad at you or angry at you, or he's mad at the world or angry at the world, you see how different festivals and carnivals mock God or mock Jesus or all these things, or you're not doing what you're supposed to do. Don't you see? You can see how God moves. You see it. And you sit back and say, damn, God, man. You see it. So is he inherently bad now? Or is God bad now because he utilizes the dark side for a purpose, for a reason? No. So it's not. So it's the same thing with you. It's just, what predicament are you in? Do you know who you are and why you're doing what you're doing? That will allow you to see how far you can go with things. If you know who you truly are, then certain things won't be that bad for how far you go in those realms of darkness. Like I said, sometimes it's a means of survival. Sometimes it's a means of telling people you're serious about business. They're all just tools for us. Excuse me. They're all just tools for us to survive in this world. That's it. What happens is when you go too far in that darkness and you lose a sense of reality, or quote unquote reality. I'm gonna leave it at that. Hope this helps somebody today. It's your favorite cousin. Y'all be safe. Love and blessings.